To the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard. And I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
Is Meghan Markle the true Duchess of drama, or is she the most misunderstood woman in the spotlight right now? That debate exploded all over again after her emotional podcast moment went viral. Tears were front and center, vulnerability was the whole vibe, and the internet wasted zero time picking sides. It was sympathy versus skepticism in real time. Some viewers felt real compassion watching her open up, saying she finally showed her heart and dropped the guard. Others weren't convinced at all and argued it just added more weight to the criticism that follows her everywhere.
The beginning of that clip where she's like, oh my God, oh my God. It's like, it's so inauthentic.
And then there was the energy between Meghan and host Jamie Kern-Lima, which had a lot of people shifting in their seats. The vibe felt intense, almost too polished. There was more praise than pushback. The dynamic didn't come off like a tough interview. It felt more like a celebration tour. Online commentators picked up on that fast and started calling it out. They said it looked less like journalism and more like admiration on repeat. That perception spread quickly and the conversation got loud. Then things escalated when Meghan landed on Time magazine's top 100 most influential women list.
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. I would love reconciliation with my family. I've always, there's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious.
If you are trying to reconcile with your family, if you are trying to make amends, you don't go on TV and blame them again. This is literally the last thing.
Critics immediately questioned whether that title matches her current level of impact. Supporters clapped back hard, saying her influence goes beyond headlines. Skeptics rolled their eyes, and the debate turned into a full-blown showdown online. Around the same time, Prince Harry's BBC interview dropped, and the timing had people raising eyebrows. There were awkward pauses, tense exchanges, and facial expressions that viewers replayed over and over. Suddenly, their public image was back under a microscope, and every small detail was being analyzed. Behind the scenes, stories from former staff started circulating again, painting a picture that clashes with the calm and polished brand Meghan presents. Some accounts describe her as highly driven and laser-focused on her vision.
Meghan Markle is now accused of breaking the agreement with the late Queen after podcast revelation, with the compliments of HRH, which is Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
Whether those claims are accurate or exaggerated, they keep the controversy moving and keep people talking. Business headlines added another layer to the drama, especially with the Spotify deal ending and some Netflix projects not reaching the huge numbers many expected. Critics jumped on that immediately, saying the momentum might be cooling off. Supporters pushed back, arguing that every entrepreneur faces ups and downs in business.
She's stuck because she was an actress who became a real princess, who wants to be an actress again, but has to continue to pretend to be a real princess.
Still, the optics sparked chatter. That also reignited talk about her connection to the royal family, with some critics arguing she should stop signing gifts as Her Royal Highness. That one detail alone stirred serious debate. Fair or unfair, the noise around her name keeps getting louder week after week. Her latest podcast appearance was promoted as completely real. No makeup, no script, just Meghan speaking from the heart. That raw image was clearly part of the rollout, but many listeners said they weren't fully sold on it. They felt the emotional beats were too smooth, too timed, almost like a carefully produced scene. To those skeptics, the pauses felt placed, the storytelling felt polished, and the delivery felt rehearsed. That idea became a trending topic fast.
There are times we get together and I'm like, I just want to have DoorDash come in. And you're like, let's make some. And I'm like,
no, I don't want to cook again, Meghan. My God, take a break.
Some people even joked that a celebrity making a wild claim might sound more believable than Meghan insisting she's being fully authentic. That level of doubt shows just how divided public opinion has become. The situation with Jamie didn't calm things down either, especially since Jamie is known to be a close friend. For some viewers, the episode came off as non-stop admiration instead of balanced conversation. Critics started asking if the goal was to reveal something new or simply smooth out Meghan's brand image. So what did audiences actually learn? According to skeptics, not much beyond what was already public knowledge.
That feeding of others is my self-care. Oh my God, Glenn.
You have shown me some of the most excruciating and unbearable footage I've seen in quite a long time.
Many believe the podcast lined up strategically with her lifestyle brand, especially since her product launch reportedly sold out in just 30 minutes. That headline sounded powerful at first glance. But then people began pointing out that the stock might have been limited from the start. Create urgency, build hype, and suddenly it looks like overwhelming demand. That theory added another twist to the conversation and kept the speculation alive. Meghan also shared personal details about motherhood, including that she writes nightly emails to her 2 children. It sounded heartfelt and thoughtful. Still, some listeners felt it came across almost too picture perfect, like a moment pulled straight from a polished parenting journal. The episode pulled major streaming numbers, with clips spreading everywhere across social media. Jamie described the conversation as raw and unfiltered, repeating that authenticity angle more than once. Supporters saw it as honest and emotional, critics saw it as calculated and strategic. But here's what really caught attention.
She's not editing scripts. She's not editing what's going to happen the next day. People are putting that in place. She won't even organise her own clothes. Everything is organised for her. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
Her appearance at the time.
Jamie repeatedly emphasized that Meghan had not seen the questions beforehand. Instead of reassuring everyone, that detail actually made some viewers more suspicious. They wondered why that point needed to be stressed so many times if everything was truly natural. And just like that, the debate kept spinning, louder than ever. At this point, the conversation around Meghan feels bigger than any single interview or headline. Every move gets dissected, every word gets analyzed, and every win somehow turns into a debate. Whether she's being unfairly judged or moving with sharp strategy, one thing is obvious. The spotlight is locked on her, and it is not fading anytime soon.
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
That's a lie. You can take them back whenever you want. You can bring your own security. You can ensure that they're safe. You can go to safe spots. There are a million ways to do it. Don't announce it. Don't tell people you're coming. Just show up and find a space and make sure it has even extra or security.
For a lot of viewers, that podcast moment didn't scream authenticity. It felt more like someone working overtime to sell a feeling the audience wasn't fully buying. The stronger the emotion came across, the more some people leaned back and questioned it. Instead of connecting, they started side-eyeing. The Daily Mail's Alexander Larman brushed off Meghan's tears as a calculated play to stay relevant. Over on X, users jumped in instantly with their own hot takes. One person joked, "Even her tears have a PR team," pointing to what they believed was a perfectly polished delivery. That line spread fast and summed up the skepticism in one punchy sentence. Meanwhile, Markle reported that critics felt Meghan's stories kept circling back to herself. Her struggles, her vision, her brand, her ventures. To them, the interview felt less like reflection and more like repositioning.
And being a mom and a wife and a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all jobs. I mean, I love being that busy, but I do think it's really interesting when people have no sense of what goes into the thing.
Yeah.
The Express also cited royal insiders who believe no emotional refresh is going to fix her public image at this stage. In their view, the audience has already chosen a side, and it's not shifting easily. Her appearance at the Time 100 Summit triggered another surge of commentary. Online, people started debating celebrity authenticity and asking who seems more performative at high-profile events, Meghan Markle or Blake Lively. Even though Meghan didn't make the 2025 list, her presence alone lit up timelines and reopened old arguments. On X, some users called her influence overhyped, pointing out that recent business projects like jam, honey, and cupcake sprinkles didn't exactly signal global impact. One commenter wrote, "Who does she think she is? Gayle King." Now that's someone with a track record of real impact. She went to space. That comparison hit hard and circulated quickly, adding more heat to the discourse. GB News quoted critics labeling Meghan a self-promoter who still benefits from royal ties while publicly distancing herself from the institution. With her influence constantly under review, the Time recognition felt confusing rather than impressive to some observers. Instead of elevating her status, it reopened the question, What does influence really mean in her case? Then Prince Harry's latest BBC interview turned up the temperature even more. He criticized King Charles over security issues after losing a court appeal, and that sparked another media frenzy. But instead of generating widespread sympathy, his comments drew backlash from multiple corners. Columnist Sarah Vine described his tone as self-pitying and accused him of leaning into personal family struggles for public support. ITV News reported that palace insiders were uneasy about the timing and framing of his remarks. The Mirror claimed King Charles has become more cautious in private conversations, worried that anything said could later surface in an interview or documentary. That detail alone had people talking. Online reactions were sharp. Users dragged Harry, calling him entitled and out of touch. One comment summed it up bluntly as nothing more than a royal pity party. The phrase spread quickly, and Meghan's name was pulled straight back into the debate as critics tied his words to their broader public narrative as a couple. According to skeptics, Harry's comments weren't just about security. They see it as another chapter in what they describe as an ongoing grievance storyline, one that keeps widening the gap between the couple and the royal family. Instead of cooling tensions, the interview may have pushed the divide even further into public view. Just when things already felt tense, fresh reports began circulating about Meghan's former staff, bringing past workplace rumors back into headlines. Several outlets claimed that former employees described a high-pressure environment where expectations shifted quickly and communication sometimes felt unclear. Some alleged that instructions changed at the last minute, leaving teams scrambling. None of these claims have been officially confirmed, but they added another layer to the leadership debate. At the same time, questions about her business direction kept popping up. Commentators noticed rebrands and product launches rolling out one after another at lightning speed. That pace made some observers wonder whether there's a long-term blueprint or whether decisions are reacting to headlines and public pressure. One critic said, "It feels like she's trying everything at once to see what sticks." That quote traveled fast because it echoed what many skeptics were already thinking. There's also growing discussion about whether constant media appearances help their long-term goals or quietly amplify every controversy. Some analysts argue that frequent interviews and public statements keep issues alive instead of letting them settle naturally. Others say speaking out is the only way the couple can shape their own narrative after stepping back from royal duties. The divide in public opinion is still sharp and loud. Supporters view Meghan as someone facing non-stop and unfair scrutiny in a space that rarely offers grace. Critics see her as intensely focused on image and branding above everything else. The reality may be more layered than either side admits, but perception drives headlines. And right now, that perception feels more skeptical than supportive. With new projects reportedly in the works, the big question is simple. Will the next launch finally shift the narrative? Or are we about to see the same pattern again? Massive hype, intense attention, and then backlash right on cue. Almost like clockwork, the spotlight swings right back to Meghan and the same heavy accusations start dominating headlines all over again. Megyn Kelly did not soften her words. She outright called Meghan a malignant narcissist, and that label exploded across social media and cable panels within minutes. It was blunt, controversial, and impossible to ignore. Supporters slammed the comment as harsh and unfair, while critics amplified it like proof of what they've believed all along. The Telegraph's Celia Walden also stepped in, describing Meghan's podcast appearance as sounding more like a self-focused therapy session than a probing interview. Then Page Six added another layer, reporting that major wellness brands like Goop allegedly chose not to collaborate with her, reportedly viewing her as too polarizing for their image. That detail alone lit up timelines and fueled fresh debate about her brand power. Here's where social media really turns up. Every time Meghan tears up or shares something personal, critics argue it feels less like unfiltered honesty and more like a strategic image move. In their view, the emotional moments don't land the same anymore, because people are now questioning the intention behind them instead of the story itself. Then, attention shifted to podcast host Jamie Kern-Lima, who suddenly found herself under just as much scrutiny. Viewers said her energy felt intense, almost rehearsed, like she was reading from a script loaded with glowing praise instead of pressing for clarity. The tone became its own headline. YouTube commentator The Royal Rogue called out her high-pitched delivery and labeled it exaggerated and artificial. He even said she sounded more like a cheerleader for hire than an independent interviewer, agreeing with nearly everything Meghan said without visible pushback. That clip circulated fast and added more heat to the conversation. The Independent's Rose Lanigan piled on, arguing that Lama's constant admiration made the episode feel less like a thoughtful discussion and more like a late-night infomercial. That comparison caught fire quickly because it painted a vivid picture people instantly understood. Over on X, users didn't hold back. Many wrote that this wasn't an interview at all. It was a full-on Meghan Markle hype session. The word scripted started popping up everywhere, with commenters breaking down every nod, every smile, every compliment like they were analyzing game footage. What surprised some listeners most is that Jamie Kern-Lama is a powerhouse in her own right. She built and sold her company for $1 billion, so she knows branding and business at the highest level. That's exactly why some viewers expected sharper questions and deeper strategy talk. Instead, they say they heard admiration on repeat. In a media climate where every detail gets magnified, even an interviewer's tone can spark controversy. And this time, it did. Some listeners said they were left confused. Instead of strong insights or bold revelations, they felt like they watched an hour-long tribute segment dedicated to uplifting Meghan. It didn't feel like tension. It felt like applause looping in the background. That sparked one big question across social media. Why would someone that accomplished use her platform sounding like a personal public relations rep? That curiosity quickly turned into suspicion for some critics. For skeptics, the episode reinforced the belief that everything felt tightly managed and brand-centered rather than spontaneous. When compliments flow smoothly and emotional beats land perfectly, people start wondering what's organic and what's carefully shaped. The energy didn't feel off the cuff to them. It felt structured and intentional. Zooming out, this isn't just about one podcast episode. Whether it's Meghan's tearful interviews or Harry's intense BBC moments, the same question keeps circling back. Are they finally telling their truth, or are they crafting a dramatic storyline with precision? From Time magazine's debated recognition to resurfaced staff allegations describing a fiery management style, the scrutiny keeps stacking higher. Critics frame them as a self-focused duo who lean heavily on personal hardship to build sympathy. Supporters argue they're simply reclaiming their voice after feeling pushed aside for years. But scroll through social media right now and the skepticism feels louder than the applause. The comment sections are anything but quiet. People are seriously asking whether we're witnessing raw vulnerability or a polished branding play dressed up in emotional storytelling. The line between real and rehearsed, real and has never felt thinner. And maybe the truth isn't simple or one-sided. Maybe it's layered, complicated, and sitting somewhere in the middle, even if neither camp wants to admit that out loud. While the internet dissects every tier, every headline, and every clipped soundbite, most everyday people are just watching this royal saga play out between work shifts, family time, and real-life stress. That contrast makes everything feel louder and more dramatic. It's high-level image strategy unfolding on screens while regular life keeps moving in the background. Media analysts are now raising a long-term question. Can Meghan and Harry maintain this level of exposure without it eventually turning against them? Some experts warn that constant visibility creates audience fatigue. When faces and emotions show up everywhere, all the time, public sympathy can slowly shift into doubt. Attention is powerful, but too much of it can flip the mood fast. Others push back and argue that controversy is exactly what keeps them relevant. In today's digital world, attention equals influence, and influence opens doors. Even backlash keeps names trending, and trending still carries weight. In that view, staying in the conversation, even a heated one, is part of the strategy. Pressure is building around whatever they launch next. Expectations are sky high after the mixed reactions to previous projects. Industry insiders are reportedly watching closely, with one executive saying the next release needs to show steady value, not just generate headlines. In plain terms, results matter more than buzz right now. Supporters are not stepping aside either. They defend Meghan strongly, pointing out that women in the public eye often face sharper criticism than their male counterparts. They argue that many narratives about her were amplified or framed unfairly from the start. From their perspective, she's building a life beyond royal tradition under intense global scrutiny. And that's no easy path. Critics, though, see a pattern they don't trust. They argue that emotional interviews landing close to business launches make audiences question timing. When personal stories and product rollouts appear side by side, people start connecting dots. And once that doubt settles in, every new move feels calculated instead of heartfelt. Whether that perception is fair or not, it's shaping the moment in real time. The couple's public image feels like it's standing at a crossroads. The next chapter could steady the narrative and rebuild confidence or widen the gap between them and audiences who once cheered them on. The pressure feels intense and the room for mistakes feels tight. If you've been following this saga and have strong thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown gave you a new angle to think about, hit subscribe and stay tapped in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who wants to hear both sides of the story.